while we've been doing our silly little jokes and sketches, you've been sitting there gasping, "This is the greatest show I've seen in my life."
That's perfect because Kung Fu Hot Dog left a super chat right before the show. And if you learn anything from Ecstasy Podcast, Mag and I like usernames that mix violence and food in the same word. So thank you so much for the £5. He says, "Good morning from the UK, the sexiest man on YouTube." Oh, you shouldn't have.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Woke Podcast because you have demanded it. YouTube likes me, and I guess I'm going to keep on recording these videos for you.
Thank God it's
So without further ado, folks, the week's big story, which has been dominating the headlines because I guess mainstream media is not really doing this, but you have to rely on good old YouTube. Lizzo is being sued by her former dancers. Now, this story's taken a little bit of a twist in the last few minutes, but the main crux of it is that two of her female dancers, I think one is called Ariana Davis and Crystal Williams, they dared not speak out because Lizzo apparently is a really horrible person. The same Lizzo that likes to get on board her private jet plane with next to nothing on, and then as that plane takes off, is suddenly ground to a halt because her weight is stopping or is posing a risk to the passengers on board. Or was that Aaliyah I'm thinking of? But either way, Lizzo and her former entourage of dancers, and when I say former, I mean she's eaten them all. This is an interesting case because, again, Lizzo's one of these people. I do like the song Juice, but I don't like her attitude about her fans, especially people of a Caucasian perspective, because her music isn't catered for them. So when you look at Motown, Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, The Miracles, Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, do you think they made that music with just black folks in mind? Of course not. It's to unify all races together. It's like Bruce Willis was the second white artist to be signed up by Motown. Do you think Motown are going to turn around and say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Willis, you're a big superstar, but we can't really take you on board as a singer because, you know, you're white"? That ain't going to happen in a million years. So Lizzo has this very dismissive attitude. Apparently she's good with the flute. The less said about that, the better.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
So over on the Daily Fails website, the same dancer I mentioned, Ariana Davis, is seen praising the singer after the alleged harassment incident took place. "I look up to her," said Ariana. Don't you mean look past her, because you can't really look up her because you'll just be seeing a ton of Jabba the Hutt flab coming all over your face. But as you can see, Lizzo's just finished eating up her entourage and she's had a public appearance, so who actually cares? It's kind of funny where the Lizzo situation is concerned, because I wonder, it's a bit like, remember those was it that special Russian death squad that were coming after Putin, and then suddenly they did a 360 and went, "Oh no, Putin's a really good guy and we're going on our merry way now. We're being flown to a private island somewhere where we can think about what naughty boys have been." Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm taking this story with a pinch of salt. I think most of us want to actually see Lizzo get her just desserts. And don't say desserts anywhere near Lizzo, because she'll think that's ice cream that you're serving up to her.
Kung Fu Hot Dog. Holy smokes, thank you guys for all of your support. Uncle Chowder.
And another story that made me giggle this week is the downfall of Miss Anita Sarkeesian. Now, this picture here of Anita is actually, you know, she looks nice here. She's an attractive lady. Until there is, she opens her mouth. And just like a glamour model or a porn star, you want to put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 until someone signals to you that it's all clear to unplug your ears again. Now, in case you don't know who Anita Sarkeesian is, she's the woman who founded or inadvertently started Gamergate, where she attacked video games for the depictions of female characters, the damsel in distress, or she's not wearing too many clothes, or she just looks too sexy. And of course, people like Neil Cuckman from Naughty Dog obviously fell in love with Anita, probably wanted to get his end away with her, and probably failed in the process at the same time. But she's shutting it down after 15 years because I guess it was just losing value, losing views, losing its audience completely. And what I find very funny, Anita is this champion for female empowerment. Her Feminist Frequency podcast I find hilarious because if you take a look at the avatar for it, okay, what I've noticed is that the cartoons of the ladies are a bit more flattering. Like Anita especially looks really attractive in her avatar, as do her other two co-hosts. But in real life, when you look at them, like Anita's the only one who stands out as being attractive, where her other co-hosts have been beaten with an ugly stick. So, you know, talk about the hypocrisy, right, Anita? You know all about the female video game tropes of females, how they're misrepresented, but for some reason that rule does not apply to yourself. So go figure. So IMAX CEO reveals that the Marvels will not receive any specialty screens because we are committed to Dune. Not June, but Dune, the follow-up to the rather good first film from Denis Villeneuve. And I saw that at the IMAX, and it was an amazing experience. I've seen the 4K trailer for part 2 or part 2, and that looks amazing. I don't know anything about the books, but as a visual spectacle, they look incredible. But this made me laugh because if there was another blow to Marvel's struggling stage 5 cancer of the MCU, this is it. So it's funny, like this year, you had Tom Cruise throwing a little bit of a hissy fit because Mission Impossible was deprived of certain IMAX screenings because Oppenheimer was stomping along. Because again, you've got the added fact that Christopher Nolan has a very good relationship with IMAX, so he's going to get first choice, isn't he? But of course, you got this sorry picture of a very emaciated Brie Larson in the trailer. This trailer is dumb. I've done a reaction to it. You've all liked it. I see no hope of this film doing well. I want it to be released. I'm probably gonna go to the cinema to watch it anyway because it's gonna be so goddamn awful. So I'm looking forward to hearing how bad it's going to be. But I reckon that this CEO has obviously got some inside contacts in the film industry. Somebody must have seen a rough cut of the Marvels already and have whispered into his ear, "Don't show this film at the IMAX," because who the hell is going to pay top bucks, top brass to go and watch 3 insufferable ladies? Well, actually, forget Imelda Villani. I think she'll just do okay. I keep calling her Imelda. I'm sure her name is something else, but I can't remember now. I'm sure she'll be the only bright spot amongst that trio of women. But apart from that, seeing a former male character being gender and race swapped, what is it, female the accuser? Don't care, really don't care at all. And what they've done to Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury is absolutely terrible. But look, I'm going to end this podcast on a very strange note with two the kind of videos I wouldn't normally incorporate into the mix, but I felt they were worth talking about. I want to see what you think about these particular subjects. So the first one I'm going to kick off with is a man who was stood up on a date, and I'm going to give you my thoughts about this afterwards. So let me just blow up the screen here.
So I just left the restaurant after waiting 30 minutes for a date to show up, and apparently I got stood up. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm trying to do everything right to be a gentleman. I brought flowers. I've been consistent talking with this girl for 2 weeks, trying to get to know what she likes, what she doesn't like. I made plans. I picked the restaurant, the day, and the time. You know, I've done everything to be just the kind of guy that would value somebody's time. Like, I'm just looking for my person.
This guy calls himself the Shade Borough. Yeah, he was waiting half an hour for this girl to turn up. I wouldn't even wait half an hour at all, dude. 15 minutes and I'm back home again. Do you know what I mean? Also, he's taken 2 weeks to get to know her. I would say that's not long enough. You should probably spend a month or more. Just have chit chat, have WhatsApp conversations. Maybe if you're on YouTube and they can see you, they know that you're the real deal. Has this guy been catfished? Was he talking to AI perhaps? Because you do have AI constructs now that you think are real and that they engage in a conversation with you, but it turns out they're not actually real, which is kind of spooky. But let's carry on.
I'm just looking for the one that I guess is out there for me. I mean, I want to be somebody's husband someday, father. I'm trying to do everything that's right, and I just get stood up. Like my feelings didn't even matter. Sitting there eating a meal by myself and realizing that nobody even cares about people anymore. Like alien dating shouldn't even be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to find somebody. It shouldn't be this difficult to fall in love. To be kind to one another. Like, what? Ladies, tell me, what did I do wrong?
I'll tell you something here, man. This guy's got a massive checklist. Like, he wants to be a husband, he wants to be a father, he wants to fall in love. Now, I don't know if this guy's actually dated much. Bringing flowers to a date is like bringing a knife to a gunfight. You just don't do that in this day and age, unless there's certain based alpha women who still like to be treated like maidens and swept off their feet. I used to do that in the 90s, not being a maiden, but sweeping women off their feet for the most part. Well, there was one incident where I was dating an Italian girl who was, she kind of like liked me from seeing me on the front door of Planet Hollywood, and we went out on a few dates. And on one of the dates, I had a blue slush puppy drink, and it left a blue residue mark on my tongue, which was obviously a bit of a eye-opening pleaser for her, because obviously what she did next was pretty awesome. So we were at this restaurant, she went out for a few minutes, or I think to the ladies. A flower seller came in, I bought a rose off him, left it on the table. Italian bird returns, sees the rose, looks at me and gives me a big fat tongue down my throat. So that was awesome. But that was the 90s, folks. You know, you had GQ and FHM magazines to guide you along, to make you be a better man without being toxic about it, which is what I loved about those publications. This guy, I don't know if he met her on a dating app or a website. You know, for me, it's better, you're better off meeting somebody in real life. Yeah, maybe your work colleague would be a good place to start. You know, you might start off as friends, it all develops, but this guy's got a massive checklist. And of course, people are saying here, well, he did nothing wrong, God protect you. They're chucking religion into it, like that's going to really help the situation. The guy was sat alone for half an hour eating the dinner that was intended for him and the girl, I suppose, who was turning up. So, you know, is he doing it for clicks to get sympathy? I wouldn't say so. I mean, you do get the insufferable female brigade now, don't you? Just say, oh, well, I enjoyed being a wife for a few moments, but now I don't want to be one anymore. Or, yeah, I don't know why he stopped dating me, despite the fact she's being whoring around with other men. And, you know, that's not me making it up. I've seen those videos out there. You can check them out for yourself. So I wish this guy, this Shade Borough, the best of luck. Don't make any more videos, dude, and breaking down, and because I don't want to. I'm reminded of like that guy who thought he was Black Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. I thought this guy was going to be a repeat of that. I've got some sympathy for him for sure, but seriously, dude, just bro up, man up, take the hits. Somebody better will come along. And maybe just broaden your spectrum. Don't just date a particular kind of woman. You know, be like me. Go for a blonde, brunette, or a redhead. Yeah, I do love me a redhead.
What, you don't think I know how to get myself off? Hell, that's what half of band camp is.
So anyway, folks, the last story I'm going to end this podcast on. Well, you've been seeing it this week. And so in fact, a friend of mine contacted me on WhatsApp and he says, what do you think about this? So I didn't actually give him a proper answer, but I'm going to leave that for the video right here. So Chinese visitors flock to see the human bear at the zoo. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure you know already. Check this out. I mean, already, before I even roll the camera, I mean, I think part of this could be a costume. but I've got a theory about this. I mean, even the people who are the onlookers they look a bit confused as well. Hang Zuzu to see Angela, the Malaysian bear. So we know she's a female, okay? Okay. I don't think if that was a human in a costume that can move like a bear in such a convincing manner. I don't think so. But my theory is, okay, you're not going to like this. We know that China is a very oppressive country, you know, commies. I think whoever's looking after this bear is probably treating them very cruelly behind the scenes, like torturing the bear, whatever, you know, they're training the bear to be more like a human, and they're probably subjecting Angela in this case to such unimaginable cruelty that, you know, when you see killer whales, I'd say Florida, at that Florida swim, what is that place now I'm thinking of in Florida, the aquatic sea life resort, you know the one I'm talking about? I think it's like that, where they put the killer whales under cruel conditions to make them all sweet and friendly, but if you met these things in the wild, they'll just eat you in a couple of seconds. So I think this is the equivalent of that. Or Angela, for some reason, has been shown videos of humans and now thinks she's one. It's fascinating, but I don't think it's a person in the costume. I can actually see why, but and of course, yeah, I mean, the grizzly bear can stand on his hind legs before it claws you to death. But this is fascinating. And if it could be like Sasquatch, one of the greatest hoaxes of the 21st century. So on that one, folks, if you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you leave a like below. Make sure you slap that subscribe button. And if you were me, and if I were you, you better come back for the next video.
Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
The First Amendment and boobs. So those are the only two things I believe in absolutely in the country.